It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Whitman College head women's soccer coach, Coach Michelle Voiland. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's Voiland, just so you know. But yes, I'm really great. Thank you, Brandon, for having me join your podcast.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college soccer?
You know, it's such a strange story. I didn't kind of start out looking to coach college soccer. I mean, I always have been involved in coaching as a player. In high school, I used to do help out with, summer camps and help my coaches out. And in college, I started coaching like a young club team on the off season and making money coaching summer camps. And then after college, I obviously continued. I had a club team and was working with the Olympic Development Program. I was in Nevada and Las Vegas at the time. And but I really wanted to play soccer. So I had an opportunity to go and do that. I was, in Germany for 10 years. And then I had an opportunity to come back to the States and be involved in coaching. So it's just something that's always been a part of what I've done. I enjoy it. And I've somehow managed to turn it into a career, which is pretty cool.
What was that like going to Portland University to become a college soccer player?
Oh yeah, the University of Portland was amazing. This is back in the 90s, the early 90s, when women's college soccer was starting to get a lot of momentum. So it was a kind of a special time. And when I went to the University of Portland, the men's team had been very successful. Casey Keller was the goalkeeper, and obviously national team player in the program, had been to the NCAA tournament. So the women's team, we were just beginning, and it was really cool because the first year we didn't make the playoffs. We didn't get the bid to go, even though we played well and did well. But then the second year, the third year, by the fourth year, we were we went to the tournament every year. We were competing in the WCC, so it was us versus Santa Clara at the time. We were the two big rival top teams. And then we'd make it to the next phase, and it was us against Stanford, and they knocked us out twice. And then finally, the third year, we won. We made it to the Final Four, and it was quite a journey. You think about the first year not even getting into the tournament, and then I was able to finish out my career in the Final Four, which was hosted at Portland. It was a really special time, and we were sort of the group that got things going. And after that 94 Final Four, Portland was in the tournament and a contender year in and year out. I think at that time Notre Dame was the big rival, and I was really happy to see Clive and the team get to win that championship, knocking out Santa Clara in the final, which is extra sweet. But yeah, it was an amazing time. It was a really incredible journey, and it was like my alumni and my teammates were still really, really close, and it's very, very special. And I think in coaching, I'm always trying to bring that experience as much as possible to my players and just to my environment, just because it's a really special time and it was a lot of fun, and that's how it should be.
What was that like, obviously, as a player going to the Final Four and getting to compete?
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, like I said, we go from not making the tournament, then the next year we get knocked out, and then we got knocked out one round before the Final Four. So to make it, it's like, wow, we did it. It's so incredible. And to be hosting, it was just very unique. It was definitely one of the highlights of my career. It was incredible. It was a bummer. We lost 1-0 off a corner kick against Notre Dame in the semifinal match, which was, unfortunate. But I mean, I can look back at that and just be so proud and happy for the experience and just knowing what it takes to do that, right? From ground zero to get to where we got. It was awesome. It was really, really cool experience.
How is that like, obviously getting to represent Portland and putting on that purple jersey for them?
Well, I mean, when you getting to play at University of Portland was amazing. And like I said, we started out, we weren't the big team. The men were the team that everyone came to watch. So we would have our games before the men's. By the second half, there were a lot of fans there. And as we progressed and we were really good. And I think my sophomore year, I'd say was really special. The University of North Carolina came to Portland. So we hosted them. Mia Hamm was playing. I played with, we had Tiffany Milbrit, Shannon McMillan playing on our team. So it was kind of like these national team players. And obviously North Carolina, they were the Tar Heels were the best team. And they came to Portland, and it was the first time that our stadium was packed. The media, everything. It was my second year there, and I'm like, we're playing University of Portland. I mean, it was incredible to be a part of a community that loves soccer so much. Right, they loved the Timbers. Clive had played for the Timbers and as a professional, and Bill had played in the league as well as at the Timbers. And so now you've got these fans coming to the University of Portland. They've been cheering on the men, and now they're out there cheering us on as the women. And it was so cool to be a part of that. It was overwhelming. It was amazing. We lost. I think we lost 4-0. And I remember Clive said, well, it's not that they're that much, like, so much better at soccer. They're just fitter. So we got to get you guys fit. And that was the beginning of like a whole nother level of fitness and training. And it was pretty awesome. So really, really special. And I'm very proud that I got to be a part of that program. And I think all of my teammates and all of our alums on the men's and women's side, we really we cherish those memories, and we want to kind of keep the legacy that Clive and Bill brought to us and share that when we're coaching and being involved in the game. It's really important.
What was that special moment like, obviously getting to play the legendary UNC and Mia Hamm?
Well, it was incredible. It's like, you're a bit starstruck. You've got this full state. I remember we were in the locker room and everyone was pretty young and we're all kind of nervous. And Clive said, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go out there, you're going to go find your friends and families, wave to them in the stands, take it all in, then you're going to come back in, and we're going to do our pregame, and then we're going to go warm up. So, he was brilliant when it came to like strategies to get us grounded. And yeah, it was, I mean, they were the best team. It was, I mean, Mia Hamm, in those days, she didn't start. He saved her. So Anson would save her. And then 15 minutes into the game, you've been running around, and then it's like, oh, now you got to deal with Mia Hamm. It was awesome. I think it was for us as a young team with, we wanted to be the best. So to be the best, you got to play the best. And so after that game, obviously it was disappointing. We lost, at the end, it ended up being, like I said, 4-0 or something, but it was a real motivator. It was like, okay, so that's what it takes to be the best. We can do that. And it was awesome. I think that it shows, we got to grow, get a lot of character from it. And just also when you're playing, I mean, Mia Hamm, like, she was so good. She was so good, so fast, so technical. It was awesome. Great experience.
What was that like getting to leave college and going to play professionally overseas?
Well, there was a couple steps in between. Obviously when I graduated, I graduated in 95. So at that time there was a league in Japan where a lot of players were going because they were making money. Like they were paying foreign players to come to their league. And so they were, like people were going to make money. I injured myself in my senior year. I broke my leg. And so I wasn't playing right away. So I came back and I was trying to find ways, like, can I get to Japan and get a tryout or whatever? So while I was coaching and working and doing life, and I did play on the Olympic development team. We had a women's program. So I was on the regional team. So it was like, being around players out of college, some doing professional stuff. And I met some players that had been in Germany, and I thought, oh, Europe. I had, another one of my teammates had been to Sweden. And so I was like, oh, that would be kind of a cool opportunity. And so, a few years down the road, so it's like 3 years out of college, I end up getting an opportunity to go to Germany, do a tryout, get a contract. And I took off in July of 98, headed over to Germany, and it was awesome. It was really amazing to get an opportunity to be a professional player. Now, is it it was, and trust me, things have gotten so much better in the women's game now. It's just amazing. But for me, it was it was a dream come true. I've been working outside of college for 3 years. I'm like, no, I want to go do soccer. It sounds way better. So it was incredible. It was eye-opening. I remember I went with another American. We met there and we were like, okay, I remember the first practice, not a single person from the team talked to us. We've had a scrimmage at the end. No, they would look at us and then turn and pass it to someone else. Like, it wasn't like the welcoming committee for sure, but I think that's kind of normal. We were the first Americans to come to that club and be there. And we ended up having an amazing time. My teammate, she stayed there for 4 years. I ended up staying there for 10 years. So loved it. But it was, when they're playing the games, when we're playing against the German national team players, international players, the level was something else. It was a real challenge. It was another level of like learning as a player, like, wow, confidence, being your own biggest cheerleader, showing up and just getting the job done. When you do great, everyone's like, you're the best. When the ball goes in, they're like, what was that? So you're just kind of like, it was a really good experience to kind of grow in a lot of different ways too.
After your professional playing career, how did that help you into getting more into college coaching and getting started in coaching?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gave me a great advantage. I mean, I played for a long time, and so that part of it, being around like a higher level of the game, gives you a different insight into coaching and what it takes to be successful, and especially as an individual. I mean, I got to go right into a Pac-12 Division I program, which isn't necessarily the normal route, and so but I had a lot of experience, and I was not a greenhorn type coach. I'd been around the game quite a bit, so that part was very helpful. Obviously, having the opportunity to try to get different recruits to come and work with international players was also helpful, because I understood what it's like to be overseas, what it's like to be out of your country. So when we had international players at Oregon State, it was like I could relate a little bit to some of the things that they were going through, and just how America's different than Europe. And because, like, I lived there for 10 years, like, okay, I get when you come to America, you're like, what is going on here? So it definitely gave me a lot of insight and support. And then just getting into that career, I just, worked my way, got my licenses, got involved in, the state Olympic development program, and building that network with other coaches, and getting out on the recruiting road, and it was a lot of fun. But I definitely gained so much from being a professional player, being in a different country, and seeing what that soccer culture is like in other places, and how things are different, and what you can take that are the best things from other teams, other cultures, and other individuals.
What was that like, obviously, getting to coach for the Oregon State team and getting to be in the Pac-12?
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, again, like, it was very different coming back from my team in Germany. We're playing in the Bundesliga. We're playing, I mean, I had some very, very talented young players that were on our team that became superstars on the German national team. And it's just a different rhythm of soccer. So when I came back, I mean, one thing I knew when I accepted that position was we're going to be in the Pac-12. It's the number one, conference out there. There's Pac-12 and ACC. That time, those are the top two conferences. So I knew we were going to be in the top conference. It's going to be against top players. We're playing, you're playing against Stanford, USC, UCLA, and Cal. Well, guess what? There's a bunch of national team players that play on those teams. So already, I knew the level was going to be very high and challenging. I knew the coach, some of the coaches that were involved in the conference already, and you get to work with a top athlete and a top player, and that was very, very exciting for me, because I wanted to be around those players that are super motivated and super into soccer. So that was awesome.
As a coach, what was that like, going against some of those teams like Cal, Oregon, UCLA, and Stanford?
Yeah, I mean, I would say every year you're in the Pac-12, some coaches call it the Pac-8, because when you play those 4 Cal schools, I mean, those are the special teams. It was really cool. I think I was at Oregon State for like 10 years. So, I remember playing the first group we had. I mean, Kristen Press was still playing at Stanford. And I remember we go to Stanford, we're tied, this was, I think, my third year there. Man, if we beat them, we're going to win the conference. Like, we're just like, okay, this is going to happen. I remember a ball comes in and it dropped, and Kristen Press hits this volley from the top of the 18, like lower corner blast. It was like, what? And we're down 1-0. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a whole nother level player. I mean, they were just so special. I mean, you got Sydney LaRue playing at UCLA. I mean, she was so fast and technical, and it was awesome, because even though those teams were, loaded with like great players, we had a really good group, especially those first few years I was there. We just had a phenomenal group of players, and just man, we were very competitive, and it was fun to see the team rise to the occasion and not be intimidated, just go for it and frustrate these other teams. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to it's hard to get to that level and stay at that level, and they do it all the time. So it's definitely it's really fun to see those players and go, man, that player's going somewhere, right? And then to see their careers and how they blossom into the national team and as professionals. So it's been pretty cool.
As a coach, while coaching at Oregon State, what was it like going from being an assistant coach to then associate head coach to then become an interim head coach?
Well, I mean, it was a long journey. I mean, again, I got to work with Linus Road. He's the most winningest coach at Oregon State. Did a phenomenal job. When we started, I joined him his first year, and we didn't even get to 500. I remember that first season, and I remember he was like, "Are you going to go back to Germany?" I was like, "No, I'll be, we'll be here. I'll stick it out." And then to really be a part of changing that program, right? So, that first spring, really setting the tone differently, and really pushing those players, and those players buying into it and making a big difference. So it was great. It was great to come back, be working with someone who I have a lot of respect for. He's a great coach, great mentor, good friend. It allowed me to grow as a coach and make that adjustment to being back in the US and doing college coaching. And so that process was really, really fun. And then, yeah, I mean, I got to move my way up to associate head coach. I mean, that's now I'm going to more, recruiting events and really getting out there and representing the program in a different way. So he didn't have to do some of those things. And I mean, I think the interim head coach, that was a tough time. I mean, we were very successful early on, and toward the end, we just couldn't make it back to that national tournament. So competitive. We couldn't quite do it. And so, at the end of that season in 2018, it was time to part ways. And so I was there in the in-between phase, right? So I think, that was a tough spot to be, where our head coach is not going to be, continuing. I'm going to do the part in between before moving on to the next stop. And so it was a challenge, but I think it was good. I mean, I was able to transition the players, transition with administration, make sure things went smoothly. And, I feel really good about, how we managed to do that and keep the program in the right space for the next coach.
During that time, what was it like as a coach transitioning to then go on to Western Oregon?
I mean, it was a stressful time. I think, whenever you're in this profession, things change sometimes. I'd been I've been at Oregon State for 10 years, but it was an awesome opportunity. It was like the perfect opportunity. Western Oregon had just hired a brand new coach. They were very excited. We met, she was great. And it was, again, taking on a program that was not as successful. And then, man, I mean, we had a great year. We won 10 games. We went to the GNAC tournament and lost I think we lost to the Seattle Pacific team, which was the best team. And it was an awesome experience. It was really, really cool. Coach, she got the Coach of the Year award. I got to coach the goalkeeper who played for Western. Alex was a kid I coached at ODP as a youth player. And, so our paths because she had gone somewhere else and then transferred to Western. And here I was, and our paths had come back together. And that was that was probably the best part of that whole experience for me, was getting to work with that kid again and see her just have a boom year. Like, she had a phenomenal year and finished out her soccer career very strongly. And I was like, yeah, like I got to be a part of that. And so it was a super positive time. I didn't have to move. It's only 20 minutes away from Corvallis, where Oregon State is. So I didn't have to do a big move. And then I have obviously had the opportunity to get this job here at Whitman and be a head coach and start a whole new chapter. So it was a really good time. And I learned a lot from Coach Casey there, and what it's like at Division II, and some of the nuances that are involved in that division as well. So it was really a great opportunity.
Of course, what was that feeling like, getting to come to Whitman and become a head coach for the first time?
That was really awesome. I gotta tell you, it was a big process. It took a lot. I put in the application, and I did the phone interview, and then I got come to campus interview. And, it was about a 6-7 week process, I think, from start to finish. I mean, when I came here on my interview in person, I was like, wow, the campus it reminded me a lot of University of Portland, the similar size campus, beautiful brick buildings. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I love this academic environment. And then just being on campus that day, I mean, all the people I met, the student athletes, the other coaches, the staff members, I mean, everyone was just, the energy was so positive, and I just felt so good here. And so, I left the interview. I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. I really, really hope that I get a call to come here. And so, it took a few days. I think it was 3 days. And I was like, when is I'm like, here's my phone. I'm constantly waiting for this phone call. Right. So it was awesome when I got the call, and our athletic director offered me the position. I was super, super excited. And yeah, it was great, because I have had this opportunity now to kind of take all this stuff that I've learned and then put it together and do my own thing. And it was very, very cool. Very, very good day.
What was that feeling like when you did get announced to become the next head coach?
Yeah, it was amazing. I think when it became official, right, and they write the article, and then you can post it on your social media and tell everyone, that was the coolest thing. And so I remember putting that on my Facebook page, and all kinds of people that, because not everyone knows Whitman College. But I grew up in Bellevue, Washington. So all of a sudden, all these people from my high school were like, oh yeah, Whitman, I went there. Cool, cool, cool. Reaching out and just, having my colleagues and peers being so happy and supportive. And it just felt really, really great. Man, I mean, it's just a real positive time. It was awesome. So I was just thrilled to be able to come here and share that, and just feel the support. And, sometimes you think all those hard days that you have sometimes coming together and be like, yeah, no, this is good. I'm excited.
Of course, after getting announced, what was that like, building the coaching staff around you and the players around you?
Well, what you have to understand is I got hired March 1st of 2020. So I came over here to stay in an Airbnb, make sure I met the players and got onboarded before spring break, because Whitman College has a 2-week spring break in the middle of March. So I book over here and, get my computer, get on board, all these things. I start meeting so then the second week I'm here, I'm meeting with the players. And, it's Thursday, the 12th, and there's emails flying, because this is when COVID started breaking everywhere. And it was are we coming to school? Are we going home for spring break for good? And I'm like, what? I don't know. I've been in meetings all day. And so basically Friday, March 13th, that was it. Everyone left. They took all their stuff, and I didn't see them again until January of 2021. So it was a very weird time. I had, I think, 3 or 4 players that were doing study abroad programs, and it was email, and then have a conversation on the phone, and it was a very, very unique time. So I'm starting, everything's ready to go. Wait, no, we're on a pause. And then how long is this pause? We all know, oh, it's just gonna be a couple weeks. No, it was not a couple of weeks. So Obviously it was fun to be in Walla Walla. If you're going to be in a pandemic, this is a wonderful place to be. I could go outside, I could go on walks, the beautiful weather. Like that part was neat. But we didn't have any events. Everything shut down. There's no recruiting. It's like, okay, well, get on the phone. I'm doing FaceTime walks through campus, and doing lots of Zoom calls, which became a thing. Like, what was Zoom before? I don't know, but then here we are doing Zoom all the time. So it was definitely a bizarre time. I did a hiring process in July, and then our school decided that they were not going to have the students back in the fall, so that got shut down. And so we did everything online, in the fall of 2020. So we did, talks with the alums, and we did team talks and video and chat talk sessions and whatever. And then about November of 2020, they said, okay, we are going to have a season in January. You're going to do a COVID season, so you can hire someone. And I'd had some people still available. And so we did a pretty quick hiring process, and got my head coach or my assistant coach here. We showed up in January, and I met some of my players for the first time in person when they showed up in January. So it was a very unique, crazy time, and we made the most of it. And it was really, really special. Lots of challenges. You don't normally play soccer in February and March, particularly where we're located, because there's winter. So we definitely had some challenges there, but we made the best of it, and it was a very unique experience. I would say the fall of 2021 was like our first real season, right? I think that was the first time school's back. Now we're having soccer and school at the same time, and things kind of became a little bit more normal, back to normal. And so yeah, it was a very strange way to start a new job, that's for sure.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a head coach versus for your players?
Oh, game day. I think for the coach, the game day is kind of like, I've done everything I can do. We've done our preparation and practice. We've done our chalk talks ahead of time. They've got their little tactical videos, and they're supposed to know where they're supposed to go. So I think for me, it's more of just like being in a good space, because you have to go. I'm done. I have no control over anything. We've done everything to prepare the players, and now I've got to let them do it, right? Like give them that trust, show up in good energy, ready to go, give them those couple of points, but allow them to enjoy the moment, pump each other up, and go out there and do it. So for me, I think as a head coach, you're just like, there's always nerves. You're like, but it's like a different energy. You just have to be like calm, cool, in a good mode, and you just have to let them do it and trust that your process is the right one, and let the players play, and we've got to sit there on the side and watch the game, evaluate what's happening, give them their nuggets, but the game should be for the players to play.
What was that feeling like, obviously getting to step on the field for the first time as a head coach?
It was awesome. Like, it was, it was weird, because where did we play? It was wintry, it was cold, we were on the road, it was the pandemic time. So that was kind of like nerve-wracking. We played at our rival school. Where did we play? We played at University of Puget Sound. The head coach at the time, Kim Calkins, played at the University of Portland like 2 years after I was there. So I've known Kim for a long, long time. It was actually really cool. So like, I remember going to the field being like, wow, this is awesome. I can't believe I'm getting to do this. And my first game is against one of my friends, a former pilot, total legend. We took a picture together, and that was, for me, it was just really awesome. It just felt so good. It was just such an incredible experience, and very, very special because of that connection with Kim as a coach and friend. And it was, and again, we played for Clive, and I really remember thinking, like, what, like, taken like from Clive and my other coaches that have had, just to be kind of like, wow, I'm here in this seat, I'm just gonna take it in, enjoy it. And but I remember we play UPS is one of the top teams in our conference. And like right off the bat, they're like pressure. I'm like, oh gosh, they get a corner kick and we're like, they have this real tall player and she's on the goalie and our center back marks her. The ball comes in, center back clears it. We're like, yes, like, all right, we're in this, And I think at the end we lost 1-0. They scored in the second half. And I remember my team was like, it just, even though we had lost, it was such a positive beginning. So it was a really great day. It was a really great day.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for the program?
Yeah, I mean, the culture here was really about getting the players to enjoy what they're doing and make it a little bit more of a positive experience. I think there was, anytime there's transition within coaching, there's always going to be, some awkward times. And the team had a real rough season. They had an interim coach for 1 year. It was kind of a weird transition period. And then obviously we go into COVID. So my focus was like, hey, we got to start with the people and the relationships, right? So we really focused in on like how to be a good teammate, how to be like, and then to enjoy being out on the field and to enjoy working hard. And just, for me, it's like, I'm going to give my players everything I have. So organizing trainings, pushing them, helping them grow in the games and supporting them. And then allowing those players the opportunity to build their own culture and support each other. I would say we had 17 players, 2 ACLs torn in the first weekend because we're coming off of COVID. So now we're down to 15 players. 2 of them are goalies. So you can see we didn't have a lot of subs and we're playing, against some very difficult teams. And we did not do real well, like in terms of game, like we didn't win. I think we won I don't think we won any games. I think we tied one, but it doesn't matter because the players were completely bought in. They gave each other 100%. They gave me 100% of whatever they had in the tank. They never, ever gave up. They fought super duper hard. And at the end of that season, I remember we played Whitworth at home. They're our rival school. And we lost in the last 10 seconds. They like scored a goal. It was like terrible way to end. It was like, oh my gosh, we had no subs. We were super tired and we got broken down and whatever. That's the way it goes. And obviously my team's gutted. We're in the circle. They're just tears falling, and then about 20 minutes later, I walk over, we've got their food. We got them some, I don't know, tacos or something. And they're sitting together in this like circle, eating their food, laughing, talking, and I was like, all right, we've done it. Because one of the big things that's so important is when you finish a game, like soccer goes over here, life goes over here. We can't be, pouting for hours on end and, beating ourselves up. Winning a game doesn't make you a better person. Losing a game doesn't make you a worse person. It's just a thing that happened. So for me to see my group smiling and enjoying each other and being that team, that's the culture that I was really proud of the players for doing that. And also for continuing to do it over these last few years. It's, because at the end of the day, we're playing a sport. You've got to enjoy the people that you're doing this with, regardless of when you win or lose. That's the most important thing.
Who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
Oh, our conference is 9 teams. We play the teams are located in Washington and Oregon. So in Washington, we play against University of Puget Sound and Pacific Lutheran University, who are the top 2 teams. Both of them were in the national tournament last year. Play against Whitworth, and they're located in Spokane, which is about 3 hours from us. So our rival team and travel partner. So there's a great rivalry here within our state. And then there are 5 teams in the Portland area: Willamette, George Fox, Linfield, Pacific, and Lewis and Clark. So it's a very, very competitive conference. Our Northwest Conference is loaded with top players from, ECNL teams, GA teams, top club teams, but players that want that higher academic challenge, right? They're going to Division III because 1, they want to go to these really challenging academic schools, and 2, they want to have that different experience that you get at Division III versus Division I and II, which is really having opportunities in the off season to study abroad and do internships and travel and do other sports and do different things that you aren't able to really do in Division One and Two.
What's that like, obviously, going to George Fox and playing them away versus obviously hosting them at your home field?
It's always fun that we get to play everyone home and away. We went to George Fox this last year, and man, we had a tough game. They put a lot of goals on us that game, and but I mean, our team was up for it. They played really, really hard. It was just some pretty nice goals by our opponent. And what was nice was when they came to play us at our place, man, our girls were ready to go. We actually played a super competitive game. We were right in there. We just couldn't quite get the ball in the net and put that team away. But, again, I would say our conference is very, very close. The margins between the top teams and the bottom teams are not very big. So it's who's going to show up, who takes advantage of their opportunities, and who makes mistakes. And I think, our team over these last 2 seasons has really gained a lot of experience. Yeah, we're excited. It's exciting to get to play everybody twice, so if you beat them, then you got to, defend that victory the second time around. And if you lose, you get to go after them again. And it's awesome. They're a tough team. Very, very good team. Very, very good team.
What does the recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes?
Well, I think when you look at Division III, it's a little different than other divisions and in college soccer because we do not have athletic scholarships in Division III. So the focus is on the academics, meaning, we're identifying players when they're freshmen and sophomores, and we have the opportunity to communicate with them, whereas other divisions are not allowed to by the rules. But we have to wait and see the end where they're at academically, right? So at the end of their junior year, that's when we can really take a look at their academics. Our admissions office can give them some feedback about, where they fit in terms of being admitted to the college, what type of merit award money they could earn coming here. And so, there's a lot of identifying and communication, and we'll do like ID camps before that end of the junior year, but that's when it starts to get pretty serious for those players that are looking at going to Division III schools, right? So we're a little slower than like Division I or II because obviously they're giving out money. All right. So in that junior year, they may have already been committed. So we're trying to be proactive in terms of the communication, and hopefully players, that want to have this experience will do that. So it's a little bit, similar and different at the same sense compared to Division I and II.
What does that official visit look like for those players coming to Whitman College?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably very similar to other schools. We have players come in, we'll want them to see a practice, meet with admissions, do a campus tour that's led by students. Then we'll take them on a tour, our staff. We'll have a meal with them. And then we want them to meet our student athletes. So we'll set them up to go to lunch, go to dinner, with the players, because by the time they're coming on that official visit, they've had plenty of conversations with me. We probably had 2, 3, or 4, maybe more conversations. We've identified them. We've said, listen, we want you to come here. We've offered you a position, or we're close to that, when they come on that official visit, it's really like now that player deciding like, do I gel with the team? Do I feel really good? Is this the right decision for me? I think that's it. And we'll have, in the fall, it's great. They come in, it's like game weekend. They get to come to the game, see the atmosphere, it's a really, really fun weekend, real fun event. And if they come sooner, like maybe they come in the spring and they just, that's fine. We really push to have players come here in the fall of their senior year before they make that final decision, to make sure this is the fit. And it gets them very excited, when they're here and it's game day and they're like, wow, this is awesome. So that's kind of what it looks like.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that jersey for the first time and represent the program?
It's cool. It's such a special time. That young player, I would say there's 2 times. It's when we do media day, which is before the first game. They get to put all their, they put on their uniforms and then they do all their pictures. So they're posing, they got the hair done, the makeup, they're doing all their different poses with their friends. That's really fun. You can really see like they're like, wow, I'm in my college uniform and this is so cool. I'm part of the team. So there's that media day energy, which is really fun to see. And then there's game day, right? Where they're like warming up and you're just like, some of them are pretty nervous. Some of them are pretty cool and calm and, they're just grinning. They're excited. They're on the field. And it's like, it's fun for me because we've spent so much time working with those young players to help them find the fit. They're coming to our school. It's finally that moment. Wow, they're stepping on the field for the first time. This is cool. And then I always think, wow, this is really fun. I get to do this for a living. I love it.
What is that feeling like as a head coach, seeing those seniors put it on for the last time?
Oh man, senior day, it's tough, right? That last game at home. This year it happened to be our last game of the season. Yeah, it's a mixed, it's a very emotional day. It's a bit of a mix. Like one, I'm like so happy and proud of those seniors, right? Everything they've done up to now into the program, the grit, the energy, the effort, so by the end of the season, they're taped up and they're beat up a little bit because there's nothing going to keep a senior off of the field. I'll tell you that right now. And so you get to kind of really appreciate all of everything they've given to the program. And it always makes me really happy and proud. And then it's like sad, because you're like, oh man, I'm not going to have this player next year. This is our last game. And, but I look at it as like more of a like move into the next chapter, whatever that happens to be. I try to celebrate them. They're usually very teary-eyed and very emotional. So making sure that we help them keep their focus is a big thing. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely a bittersweet day. It was nice. It was really nice the last 2 seasons that I've been here is that we've won our final games, making senior day awesome because there's nothing better than that last game, getting a victory and sending those players off with a win and being able, I think, you get to the end of the game and we won and I remember everyone's cheering and they're all happy, but then you take a moment and you go to each senior and it's nice to give them a hug and say thank you, and that's that, kind of go, well, job is done here. And now we move into a next phase as an alum and being connected to the program in a different way. But it's a real special day for sure.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those seniors go on and play professional soccer like you did?
Yeah, I mean, man, I've had a few from the Oregon State days do that, and it's really cool. And they've gone in different like levels. I remember when I first started there, again, the NWSL was very, very fresh. And we had some players. We had an English woman who went to Norway and made quite a career. In fact, I think we had a couple of players go over, one to Norway, one to Denmark. It's really fun to see their journey. Like Rachel is the one, she's the English woman who had gone to Norway and she played another 10 years, so keep in touch. And then I remember when we had the World Cup, the Houston Dash coach had been the Notre Dame coach. When we played them, it was her senior year and we lost to them in the Sweet 16. And he calls up Linus and is like, hey, where's that midfielder? Because again, it's the national team players were going to be gone. Carly Lloyd was going to be gone and he needed a midi. So, Linus is like, oh yeah, he gets a hold of her. So she got to play for Houston in the NWSL. So she came back and she did a season. And I remember we went up to Portland and watched the Houston Dash Portland Thorns game. And it was awesome. We're like waving and she played a phenomenal match. And it was so fun to see her and be like able to celebrate that. That was really a special moment. Another player we had, she had gone off to, I want to say it was Denmark, and the team was in the second league, and then they moved up, and she was a big part of that. And it's fun to see the players do that. I'd say for me, probably the most famous one is Bella Geist, who's now Bella Bixby, plays for the Portland Thorns, goalkeeper. I had her at ODP when I was in Oregon, and then she came to Oregon State, and getting to work with her, for 4 years, to see her, one, get drafted, do her time, step on the field and be that starting goalkeeper weekend. I get to watch her. Like, I'm always watching Thorns games. I'm like, yay, I get to watch her on TV. Like, this is pretty cool. It's amazing how that all comes together. One of my other goalkeepers, Colleen Boyd, who's now the head coach over at Wyoming. We didn't quite have the NWSL, but she went and played for New York Flash. So having her do that journey and then seeing her journey as a coach, because she wanted to be a professional coach. So seeing her go from, being that top player, in our conference to coaching at, in California at CSUN, and then working her way up the ranks, and going out to James Madison, becoming an associate head coach, and now being a head coach at Wyoming. Like, that's so cool. Like, you get to watch these players and their different journeys. And, and now with the NWSL and overseas playing, like, there's so much more soccer. It's so cool to be able to turn on the TV week in and week out and watch multiple games at the highest level. It's pretty cool. There's not a lot of words to explain that. It's very special.
What are some of your future plans for the Whitman College soccer program?
I mean, we're just going to keep moving forward. I mean, that's the thing. It takes time. We've built a really strong foundation. We improved year to year in terms of goals scored, wins, and now I get to have a senior, junior heavy team this fall. They're very motivated. They're very excited. So, the biggest thing for me is, can we continue to stick with the process, be competitive, trust that, create opportunities, and then win more games. I mean, that's like, at the end of the day, it's like, let's continue building what we've got, taking what we've got and execute so that we can get more victories, and then move the program up. I mean, ideally, we all want to be competing for that top spot, like get in that top group and try to get to the NCAAs. I mean, we all want, that's the ultimate goal, is to get a championship and move on to the NCAAs. It just takes time. So, next steps are, can we get to 500? Right? Can we beat these teams? I really believe in my team. And again, soccer is a little tricky sport, because you can play a great game, but ball doesn't go in the net, right? You hit the crossbar, you hit the post, keeper makes a save, you just miss by inches, and then you give up a goal on the other end and you lose 1-0, and you're like, ooh, that's a tough one. But again, we have to create the opportunities, reduce the opportunities other teams have, and then just execute. And at the end of the day, if we're doing things the right way, treating each other the right way, putting out that effort, sticking to the process, we will continue to develop, evolve, and be victorious. So I'm excited as we move forward to start getting more W's on the board.
What advice would you give those high school athletes that are looking to become college women's soccer players?
Oh, high school. Well, number one, do well in school. Always take care of yours. You've got to be like doing great in school. Take care of your academics, because the better your academics are, the more doors that open up for you. We are in a country that has so many avenues to play college soccer. You've got Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college, tons of avenues and opportunities to go and be a college student athlete. So start with your grades, so you open up a lot of doors. The better your grades are, the more opportunity to get money, which means more academic money, which means, coaches can give you also money. It's just very helpful. When it comes to your soccer, you got to continue to develop, right? Work on your game. Talk to your coaches, whatever level you're playing. There's ECNL and GA down to maybe a League 3, whatever your league is. You got to, work with your coach. What are your strengths? What are the areas you need to work on, and work on those areas. You always improve your strengths, but work on those weaknesses as well. Become a full rounded player. I think that's really important, having that growth mindset, right? Being willing to hear feedback or criticism and use that as a motivator to improve. I think that's a really important skill, and that's something high schoolers need to do at high school as well as college. I think learn to be a good teammate. Don't get caught up in the drama of a teenager, right? The clique of friends or whatever. Be a good teammate, enjoy your sport, push yourself and push others to be the best and have a great time. You got to enjoy what you're doing. When it comes to like getting into college, like you've got to be very proactive. College coaches get a gazillion emails. And like where I said earlier, Division 1 and 2, they can't even respond when you're a freshman or sophomore. So, making sure you're going to filling out the questionnaire online, going to ID camps that those schools are hosting. Even if you're a freshman, go to the big school camp. Like, let's say you live near University of Washington. Well, go to the camp because you're going to see other coaches. You're going to see what this camp is like. You're going to see what the level is. I think that's really important. Going to these identification camps, college ID camps are huge. And then writing coaches, right? Like, hey, this is who I am. This is my team. This is what we do. Here's my video, my 5-minute highlight clip with highlights. Don't send us the lowlights. We just want to see what you do well. Keep people informed. I'm going to be at this tournament. Here I am. I think that's being really, really proactive and knowing, again, you're not going to get responses in those first couple of years because you can't, but you can do a lot of things. I think the second thing is whenever you go to tournaments or wherever you live, go visit schools, right? Go to campuses, just walk around. Because if anything, you're going to figure out what schools you do not like. You may not know which one you want, but you're like freshman in high school, you're still figuring out high school. But let's say you have a tournament and you're like, well, let's go check out, these 3 schools, a big school, a middle school, middle size school and a small school, and see what those campuses are like. I think that those would be some real easy things that freshmen and sophomores can do. And then I would say the last thing is it's your journey, right? Everyone's on a different journey. So you start to be on a team and, these 5 kids have already committed, and you'll see young people getting nervous. Like, I haven't committed yet. You know what? Relax and be realistic about by the time you're a sophomore, junior, you're starting to see where you might fit in. Be realistic. Everyone wants to be at UCLA when they start, right? Not everyone is going to go there. So work with your coaches, figure out where good fits, go to these camps, and then also focus on what you want out of your college decision. Like, what is your experience? You're the one going to the school, not mom and dad, not club coach. It's you. So young high schooler, figure out what you want, and what you want as a freshman, by the time you're a senior, may be completely different things. So you've got to be prepared to in that junior year, start making decisions. But yeah, I think those would be my big advice points. And I think that's a lot of info.
What advice would you give those college players that are looking to go play professionally after college?
Yeah. I mean, what's cool about being a pro is it doesn't matter what level you played at. Obviously, if you play a Division 1 program, you're playing at a high level. You have these tools to help you be fit and compete against some of these top teams. And what I would say is it doesn't matter if you played Division 1 or 2 or NAIA or junior college, or Division 3. If you want to be a pro, it's a mentality. It's like when you're in college, you're not skipping cones. A pro is someone that they push themselves to the limit every single time. They don't cut corners. They're the ones that are out doing the extra. They're the ones that are working on their game all the time. It's a pro mentality. So, you might have a player, maybe they graduate college at 21, they play a couple of years on a WPSL team, and they keep working and working and working on their game, and they work their way into the top league, because it's a mentality to be a pro. It's a determination. Now, obviously, yes, having talent and physical attributes helps. Some people are gifted that. And if you go to Florida State University, guess what? You're probably going to get a pro contract a lot easier than someone that's playing at Whitman College Division 3 soccer. These are 2 different worlds. But what it really boils down to is that mentality. Do you want it? And can you here's the advice. 1, figure out, talk to your college coach. What do I need to do to be a pro? Now, in the Division 1 soccer, those conversations are happening now, because guess what? There's more and more opportunities. So have those conversations with your college coach. I want to do this. What do you think? Where do we start? Let's get a plan going. Have conversations with your outside of college coaches if you're playing in a summer league or a summer team, right? And then get together with your fitness trainer, right? And get that fitness plan going. Like, what level of strength and conditioning do you need to be a pro player? And then set those goals, right? And work on it, and never stop believing. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. Those opportunities, but you got to work. You got to be the one that's in the gym. It's all on you, right? And when that opportunity comes up, be ready, go for it, right? You only can play as a professional a certain amount because your body's only gonna be able to do that for so long. So when opportunities come up, that's what you want to do, you got to jump on it and go for it, because you will only have that physical peaking time for a certain amount of years, and then you'll doing different things. Your body changes a little bit. Now, if you're getting I think players could probably play professionally now a little bit longer, and still make money, because there's money to be made in women's soccer now. When I played, it's like, okay, guess what? I'm 31. I'm not really making money playing this. It's time to move on. You know what I mean? But if I were a man and I was making this equivalent of what a man in my position, I probably would have played till I was 40, So again, no, that's a little bit of an off topic point there, but I think it's a mentality, it's a drive, and you just have to be positive, be your own biggest cheerleader, and you got to believe in yourself more. When everybody else is doubting you, you have to believe in yourself, and always make sure that if the environment isn't right and it doesn't work for you, and you're real honest about you're doing everything that you can, then you need to change that environment to a place where you can grow. And that's important to identify as well.
What advice would you give those future college coaches that are looking to become assistant coaches and even head coaches?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of avenues to coaching. I think one, if you're getting started, get involved in club soccer, right? Even if you're, a high school age person, a college age person, get involved in coaching. That's important. Get around good coaches as assistants, or go, be like a volunteer somewhere, or go out to practices and see what they're doing, and start doing it. Coaching is you just got to do it. You got to get your voice, get in there, see what works, what doesn't work. I think that's important to get started. If this is a career that you really want to go, and you get your volunteer assistant spot, and you get that coaching spot at a college, also get your licenses while you're young and you're energetic, right? Get those coaching licenses, moving along. I think that's great if you can do that. But I think the biggest thing is just being a positive energy. Whatever program you're involved with, you want to start getting, if you want to get in the college game, you got to be ready to work, and understand that club soccer is year round coaching. I think this is different. You're coaching teams all the time. You're building relationships. You're helping that young player get to college. I think that's one thing. When you go to college and you're coaching there, it's very intense for that period of time. And then there's, you're always coaching, but there's a lot more to it. There's recruiting aspects, there's administrative aspects, there's a lot of other areas to develop and work on. So understanding what those jobs require, and understanding that it takes a lot of dedication and energy and effort in those positions, but also never lose sight of your well-being and your mental health. The work will never go away. You're never going to be done in jobs like this. So you have to be ready and prepared to say, okay, it's time to stop, time to go home and have a balance in life. I think that's really, really important in these types of professions, to be aware of that as a young coach, being really good when you're at the office, getting your stuff done, doing what you need to do, and then when to turn it off and have a life.
What advice would you give those coaches that are looking to become head coaches and run their own program?
To be a head coach, I think one is building relationships, lots of coaching, right? Get out there, but also, get your licensing, but understand what it is, a different hat when you put on that head coach's hat. And it's cool. You get to drive everything, right? It's you're the one that's in charge. They're your decisions, which also means they're your decisions. So at the end of the day, whatever happens in your program, you're responsible for it. So there's a lot of positive energy around that, but also, it's a big responsibility. So knowing that, this is what you want to do. And then you just got to go for it. You just got to get out there and trust that you can do it and go for it. And here's the tricky thing about coaching. And you can look at the pros. These coaches, like, you got a pro coach, they're coaching, I don't know, in the English Premier League, and the team doesn't do well. They're not going to change all the players. They're going to change the coach. So, so being hired and fired in the coaching is kind of like a normal thing, when they look at results. So, sometimes you're just not going to get the results. It doesn't mean you throw in the towel. It doesn't mean you're a bad coach. It means you got to adjust, grow, get better, and find the next opportunity. I think the other thing, if you're going to be in this profession and you want to be a head coach, particularly in the Division I levels, you're got to be willing to move. So you may be in one location and there's a job, wherever that job, you may have to move across the country and do that for 3 or 4 years. You got to be willing to do that. You have to get that experience. And, and that's very, very normal for Division I and even Division II, being open to like following the job and moving locations. That's going to happen a lot. So yeah, I think being open, being a person that wants to learn, being motivated, take advantage of whoever coach you're working for as an assistant, learn as much as you can, right? And make sure you're getting opportunities to coach and be on the field and get feedback and grow so that you're, prepared. And if that's what you want to do, you need to tell your head coach, like, hey, I want to be a head coach one day. What do I need to do so they can mentor you? I think part of being a head coach is being a mentor to our assistant coaches. So those would be the things to kind of look for and be proactive about. And obviously getting your licenses, you want to get your national licensing done.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program at?
Well, we are Whitman College. So you can go to the Whitman College website, athletics website. We're the Whitman College Blues. And that's our website. And then we have an Instagram account that we run our program through. It's Witty Soccer, WHITTIESOC, Witty Soc. So yeah, jump on there and follow us. I don't do a ton of social media with our program. We kind of focus in on Instagram, and it's great because I like to give my players opportunities. So we have players that are doing things, they do takeovers. We put a lot of information on there, and that's kind of our main social media outlet.
Thank you again, Coach Michelle, for your interview. Voiland, for your interview.
It's okay.
For your interview, and best of luck in your future as the head women's soccer coach for Whitman College.
Thank you, Brandon. Really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation. I had a blast. So go Whitman Blues.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.